We've got ones that can see. Welcome everybody to today's show. This is a really important video in regards to where we're headed with a digital ID, which again will look a lot like your own personal barcode or your own personal QR code. And I want to thank a subscriber over on the website, Curtis, who, like everybody on the website, shares this vital information because it's hard to keep track of all of the chaos, all of the nonsense, all of the noise that we hear on a day in and day out basis. And whether you're located in Greece or you're located in America or you're located in the UK or you're located in Australia, we all need to pay attention to what the governments are doing because they're conspiring together and rolling this out at a different pace. It's not all happening in the same exact places at the same exact time. But this is exactly what we can expect to occur. And again, this is just like having your own personal barcode. Greece has launched a personal citizen number for a unified digital ID system. This is the beginning of a digital ID. And sure, it might sound a lot like having your own social security number, but this would really be the merging of all of your data into one. So all the separate accounts that you have into one personal citizen number. And before I break down what all of this actually means, it's important to note that the Secretary General of Information and Systems and Digital Governance of Greece also announced at the same time as this the end of ID photocopies, announcing that the practice of providing photocopies of identification cards to public services and private institutions would be abolished, aiming to modernize interactions with government entities. He further added that if citizens do not manually verify their details and obtain their PIN numbers, the government will automatically issue one on their behalf. So they're telling you two things here. By phasing out photocopies, which most people have photocopies of their actual birth certificate or of their social security number. This is just the beginning of completely phasing out all physical forms of identification. But also, they're telling you that you can't opt out. They're saying that you are not allowed to opt out of this. If you try to ignore this, we'll just send it to you in the mail or we'll just send it to you digitally. We'll make sure, maybe we'll come to your front door and we'll just tattoo it on your arm. Or maybe we'll just bring a branding iron and we'll just stab it on the back of your neck for you, right? So they're telling you that you can't opt out of it, which really they have no right to actually do. But then again, we've gotten to this point somehow where we even have social security numbers. Just tells you how much we've allowed these people to get away with. So the modernization effort also extends to family status and birth certificates, which citizens will no longer be required to submit to public services. He stated that these documents would be processed automatically through interoperability, ensuring that they are only generated when necessary. So this is the beginning of the end of photocopies, which also means it's really the beginning of the end of all physical copies of identification and the forcing, without saying forcing, of all citizens into their digital governance infrastructure system. So Greece has launched its unified digital ID system with the new personal citizen number. The PCN is the new universal ID for Greek citizens across all public services and will replace the older numbers issued by various state agencies. Greece's prime minister said the new personal number will be assigned to every citizen, becoming the key for unlocking any transaction with the public sector. The personal citizen number will be issued through the MyInfo app in the government.greece digital wallet, where citizens will be able to generate a part of the number with the platform to start operating from June 3rd on. Users will need tax.is.net credentials and a registered mobile number in the National Communication Registry to obtain their PCN via the MyInfo app. The PCN will complement existing numbers such as the tax office registration number, social security numbers, and other ID numbers. The personal number is unique and will not change throughout a citizen's life. It consists of 12 characters, 3 alphanumeric elements, 2 of which can be selected, and the person's tax identification number. Newly issued ID cards will feature the PCN, while those who have already acquired new ID cards won't need to replace them as their PCN can be accessed digitally. In late March, the Greek state began introducing personal identification numbers on its physical national ID cards. The 12-digit identifiers are unique to each citizen and are used across all state services. The PIN is physically printed on ID cards and digitally embedded in chips, but is not linked to biometric data. The update is aligned with the European Union's digital identity wallet and embedded in the chips, which eventually will be embedded in the body, under the skin. Greece also launched a digital wallet for children to use when accessing age-restricted online platforms or content. The new kids' wallet is an optional equivalent to the grown-ups' wallet and allows for parents to provide consent for kids to access online assets up until 15 years of age, which is also something we see here in America. We see this being implemented in most countries. They're putting out propaganda instead of actually regulating the internet themselves. The government's putting out propaganda to make parents out there want to remove their children from the internet, which of course is a good thing. I think we all agree that the internet is more harmful than it is helpful, especially for young children who are spending more time online than they are outside or interacting with other human beings. But they're doing this deliberately because this is a way they can bring in things like this digital wallet for children and digital IDs for adults and separate the two and say, well, if the kids have their own digital ID number, they'll be blocked from accessing the internet. So they'll have their own personal number. You'll have your own personal number. You'll be able to go online with yours. They'll be restricted with theirs. And that way you don't have to police your kids and you don't have to actually be a parent. We'll be the parent for you. But in the meantime, everybody will be implemented their own barcode number. And then in the future, of course, you won't be able to escape this number because now this will be personally assigned to you for the rest of your life, like almost what we see with cattle on a ranch. So the kid's wallet will store the child's digital ID number and link to their parent or guardian's online tax ID credential, at least until it's replaced by the new personal identification number. The issuance of the new unified digital ID system is part of Greece's overhaul of the digital transformation strategy. Under the Digital Greece strategy, 475 projects were begun with 295 ongoing. The Digital Transformation Bible set out guidance in the technological infrastructure of the Greek state as it educates and trains the population on the acquisition of digital skills and how the country utilizes digital technology in all sectors of the economy and public administration. Last year, the DCO inked an agreement with the United Nations Development Program on digital cooperation. And this is what you're going to start hearing about. And some of the key words you're hearing in here include not just digital cooperation, but also training, educating the population on digital skills. It's very important to them because if there's any kind of pushback or resistance, if people begin to remove themselves from the internet, then they have to halt their plans. But as long as people are consumed with the internet, as long as people are addicted to the internet, as long as people continue to go on the internet, and then of course, who's monitoring it? They are. They're seeing how often people personally are going online. They have a median number of, wow, people are on the internet 12 to 14 hours a day, 16 hours a day. So they're not going to escape the matrix. So let's start training more and more people so that they almost don't feel like they're getting forced into a digital ID and doing everything digitally, but they feel like they're getting their hand held and we're helping them get there, like the elderly, for example, or the youth, right? Some of the young children. Make sure this is implemented in the public school systems. Make sure they probably planning on going to senior living places to train them with your tax money so that they can make sure that these adults also are given their digital wallets and their digital identification numbers and that they can move forward with this. So the government wants to hold your hand and talk about transformation, which is another key word we know in the New World Order. But this is another big step towards a digital ID system. And every country is going to have their own unique rollout to the system, but it's going to have the same bullet points, right? The combination of all these numbers. The propaganda that they put out in each country will differ. Like in America, for example, how much have we heard about, oh, don't carry around your wallet. Oh, your passport's too bulky. Oh, you got all these identification things that you need. You're too busy to go and get your passport renewed or you go to the DMV. How about we all have it in one place at one time right on your device? And people out there, of course, will hear that propaganda over and over and over again. Eventually, they will consent to that and say, yeah, you know what? I'd rather just have one number. What's the difference? I already have a social security number, right? Because we've already gotten to this point where our, generations before us have allowed the government to even implement social security numbers, which is pretty unbelievable. Now you're gonna have your own new, I love how it's called the new personal citizen number, right? Because again, each country's gonna have their own unique way of, marketing this to this specific country so that it doesn't seem like it's some type of global conspiracy. So Greece's will be called the personal citizen number. I'm sure they'll have some even funnier name in America, and Australia will have theirs. And each thing, though, you're going to hear the same propaganda points about the difficulty of having all these different online tags, online bank accounts, get everything into one place, right? We're talking like a blockchain. Get everything in one place at one time with one number, and it's simple. It's as easy as that. And people out there are so dumbed down, they'll say, okay, that sounds great. But then you're having everything linked up, and who's controlling it behind the curtain? Your government is. And then on the other side, the other stuff like I had just mentioned with children. This is a constant theme we're hearing. Australia banning children from using social media sites. America, we hear the Republicans demanding that children be restricted from online access. And again, it's something we all agree with. But the dark web, all this stuff that is on the internet and available for people to access, the government could easily shut down. The government could easily remove pornography off of the internet. The government could easily remove social media sites off of the internet. The government could literally just have the internet be like an Encyclopedia Britannica, but of course we know the information that will be fed wouldn't be accurate anyway because all the information is tainted because they control the information flow. So they want you to think that this is about caring about kids. This is why when I recently talked about the story that's out there with the dark web that they're promoting all over the mainstream media, the 764 story, they're putting that stuff out there so that parents see that, and parents become so fearful of their children getting manipulated on the internet by some creepy guy who they have no idea who it is. Instead of monitoring their kids and what they're doing online, when they hear these stories and the government says, hey, there's a dark web, there's a 764, you're too busy to monitor your kid. How about we do stuff like this? Let's regulate the internet so we'll get everybody their own personal ID number. First, we'll say that kids are banned, and the only way we'll be able to do that is you'll be able to access the internet with a number, but you'll have to have your own number, you'll have to be 18 or above. So then all the adults out there will say, fine, I'll go get my own personal digital identity number or my own personal citizen number. Then, of course, they'll say, well, this isn't fair. Kids aren't learning as much now because they're banned from the internet, right? We need to have them be able to learn online. They have to be able to take care, access this information and be able to utilize these skills. I mean, you're dumbing them down by not letting them have the internet. So how about we have a separate one for the children? Then we'll just limit what they can access. We'll make sure they can't access pornography sites. And of course, we'll be monitoring everything anyway, like we already do. But this is a way to implement these personal citizen numbers. So I personally wouldn't be surprised in America if the personal citizen number is actually people's phone number, a number that, most people obviously have memorized. Most people are so attached to their phone number, like they never give up their phone number because they don't want to lose access to other people. How often do you hear people who are like, oh, I changed my number? Early when the cell phone came out, people would change their numbers all the time. So I think there could be a tie-in in America with the personal citizen number actually being your cell phone number. Then, of course, we know what's coming after that, the merging of the cell phone and the body, which, of course, is something they've been talking about for a while that most people aren't paying attention to because they go, oh, that'll never happen. That'll never happen. They're just getting trained and conditioned into it, like I've said, with the wearable technology. But I wouldn't be surprised in the U.S. if the personal citizen number is actually a phone number or your personal phone number. Make people more likely to say, oh, I don't have to memorize some new number. It's actually my phone number. It's something that's already personal to people, right? They go out and people go, what's your number? Can we have your number when you check out at a store? How often do you get asked what's your number? Every time you log into a website, what's your phone number? What's your phone number? Phone number, right? It's mainly a requirement on a lot of websites to be able to access. I mean, this is what the world we're living in now, right? Where people give their phone number. They go, give us your email or give us your phone number. They give their phone. They give their phone. They have to get a text, get a code to your text. All of a sudden they say, well, it's not a big deal. Your personal citizen number is just going to be your phone number. And like, oh, that's already mine. It's my phone number. Right. And then you just work them from there. So Greece has launched the personal citizen number. Thanks again to Curtis for sharing this information with me. And again, this is a great thing about the website is that you could see a lot of these stories that are going on in a lot of different countries. Of course, when people like Curtis share this stuff, You can also see the websites that they use. Like there's a lot of common websites like Biometric Update, which always promotes and puts all this biometric information out there because, of course, it's a website that's promoting biometrics. So anytime there's a country that's sharing or going forward with the digital ID, they'll make sure that they report on it. So there's just a lot of great stuff being shared on the website. So thanks again to Curtis and everybody who shares information on the website. I appreciate everybody who is here greatly. You have no idea how much I appreciate you guys. I thank you so much for being here. Hope you're all doing well. God bless you and your families as always.